Hi there. In this video, we will be walking through requesting an adjustment for a supply report that I have submitted myself as a producer. And then later in the video, we'll also demonstrate how to request an adjustment for a supply report that has been submitted by a pro on behalf of the producer. So I've logged into the Divert NS portal here, into the packaging, paper products, and packaging like products program. And you can see on my supply reports table here that I have one supply report with a status of submitted. As we know, if I press the view button, I can go in and I can have a look at the details that were submitted as part of this report, like so. Now, should there be a change that I wish to make, an adjustment that I wish to make to that, I can begin a adjustment process by pressing this request adjustment button here. This button only exists on this table under the My Supply Reports table. When we were looking on the actual supply report itself, there is no request adjustment button on the page itself. This is just a read-only page. So you have to request the adjustment here from the home page. So I'll go ahead and press request an adjustment. At this point, I'm actually taken into the adjusted report. And I can tell this by several ways. At the top here, you can see that the report name has now gone from just the period here. It's got the adjustment version 1 at the end of the report name here. If I go back to the home page at this point, you'll see that my original report here that I pressed the request adjustment button on has updated to a status of adjusted. So this one is still a read-only version. There's nothing else I can do there. But this next report here has a report type of supply report adjustment. As you see, there's the adjustment V1 here. So that's the report that I'm immediately taken to. So this one is going to a status of in progress. I was already taken straight to that report, so I can just continue that there. So essentially what this has done is made a replica of the original supply report so that I can go through and revise the information that has been entered. You may notice that on the left-hand side here, we do not talk about the obligation section or show anything about the obligation section, which is where you would indicate if you're exempt from completing the supply report. If you do need to make a change to that piece of information, you would need to contact Divert NS directly to make that change. So you're taken to the the report details tab here, and we're brought to the supply data adjustment. Here you'll see the table has been updated slightly compared to what you would have seen when completing the original report. The values that had been previously reported are listed here under the previous weights in kilograms reported column. And in this column here, this is where I can revise the amounts and put in what should actually have been reported. So I can change these values. And as I change those values, the weights difference in kilograms is populated on the right-hand side for me there. So I'll go through and make a couple of changes here. If I go down in a value, you'll see that the weight kilogram in difference is shown in negative with a red. And if the value is going up, you can see that the weight difference is indicated in a green font, like so. The supply deduction section is still very similar to what we saw for the original report. So I can change my answers here to these values as well. And very similar to what we've seen above is that we will be prompted to only enter in values that are applicable. So if I try to enter in a value here, which is higher than the value in the supply data table above, I will be shown an error message like so. So this value here is showing an error of 250 because the actual revised weight that was reported for rigid plastic over here is a value of 50. So I cannot enter a value higher than 50 here. If I change this value to 40, then that will be accepted. Okay, when I'm happy with all of the values that I've entered in here, I can press next. And I'm taken through to the brand list page. On the brand list page here, you see that I'm prompted to complete the brand list template once again to enter in my brand information and then upload the completed file once more. The original file does exist here. So if there are no changes to that brand list, I can just continue on to the next page. Alternatively, I can download a template again or upload a replacement file here. Now, as a reminder, you can actually only upload one file at a time. So if I do try to upload an additional file, I am going to get a warning to say that you will be replacing the original file, and I must press submit to confirm that that's the change I want to make. So I'll press cancel for now with the assumption that my brand list remains unchanged for this particular adjustment, and I'll press next. A new attestation must be completed for every adjustment request that goes through as well. So I can complete the attestation form by downloading it from the link here. I'll download it as a PDF to my computer. When that's completed and signed, I can upload the file from my computer like so. And then when that is uploaded successfully, I can move forwards to the next page. The summary page here, very similar to what we saw for the original supply report, is just going to give me a summary of the data that I've entered. The difference, of course, for an adjustment is it's going to show the summary of the adjustments that have been made here. So I'm seeing the weights that were previously reported, the revised weight, and the difference. Same for the supply deductions. And then my net supply data table is going to do that calculation and show us what the revised total is going to be here, and any difference between what was originally calculated and what has been revised. I can see my brand list and my attestation, and I can press edit to go back to any of these sections should I need to make a change. When I've read through the terms and conditions and the privacy policy, I can check this box here to say that I confirm I've read and understood them, and then press submit. At this point, the supply report adjustment is going to go to a status of under review. It goes to a status of under review because this is now with internal Divert NS staff to review the requested adjustment, and they will make a decision to either approve or reject that particular request. So I'll go back to the home page here, and you can see that this particular report is now sitting at a status of under review. I can see the adjustment type was self-initiated because I myself initiated that particular report, and I have access to view to see the information that I had previously entered for that adjustment request. Now, until a decision is made by Divert NS whether to approve or reject this supply report adjustment, there are no further changes that I can actually make at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to approve this particular supply report from the perspective of Divert NS staff. And when Divert NS have made that decision to approve or reject it, if I refresh the page, you'll see that, of course, the adjustment here has updated to a status of approved. I'm also sent a notification here just to say that that adjustment request has been approved as well. So from here, it's very similar to what our original submitted report looks like. I can press view to go in and see the details of that adjustment. And should I need to make a further adjustment request, I can click that request adjustment again. And you'll see that we are now on adjustment version 2. So the system automatically creates a copy of that original adjustment to make adjustment version 2. And it's going to show you what was previously reported. And you can go through the flow once more to submit a further adjustment request. If I go back to the home page here, you can see here was our original supply report, which was adjusted, which gave us version 1. And now that we've clicked on the request adjustment for version 1, we now only have the ability to make changes to adjustment version 2, which is sitting at a status of in progress. So I'm going to go through this flow very quickly. I'll make a minor change here. So I'm making one change. And I just want to demonstrate at this point what happens when Divert NS rejects an adjustment request. So of course we know I need to re-upload some files. So I'll put that through here. Press next again, review my changes. As you know, I only made one small change here. I'll confirm that I've read and understood the terms. And once more, this is going to go through to the status of under review. So go back to my home page and we'll have a look at all of those together. You see here is our original report that was adjusted. This one here was the adjustment request that we completed that was approved. Then we made a further adjustment request here. And so this has gone back to Divert NS. This is with that team to review the adjustment request. So what I'll do now is I'll go into the system and represent Divert NS, and I'll show what happens when an adjustment request is rejected. So now that Divert NS have made the decision to request this supply report, reject this supply report adjustment. If I refresh the page here, let's just point out what's happened here. So essentially we now have a new version, a version 3, that is sitting at a status of not started. The adjustment version 2 that we had completed and was sitting as under review has gone to a status of rejected. So when a adjustment request is rejected by Divert NS staff, the system automatically creates the next supply report adjustment in the sequence for the producer to complete. You'll also notice at the top of the page here, you can see that due to an adjustment request, this particular report has been rejected. If I press the view button on the notification, I'm taken to the rejected report, adjustment request, and you can see the rejection reason, so the reason that was entered by Divert NS staff as to why this particular adjustment request was rejected is listed below. So we can see here that an incomplete attestation form was supplied. So I'll go back to the home page and show you the other way of navigating to that particular screen. Just do a quick refresh. So if I go and press view on this page here, on the rejected report, you can see that's another way to access that read-only version of the rejected report, and I can see the rejection reason. So as we know, now a supply report adjustment has been created. Next one in the sequence, we have a version 3 here. I can press start to go in and complete that process. So this concludes the demonstration of how a producer is able to request an adjustment to a supply report. I also showed what it looks like when a Divert NS staff rejects an adjustment request and when a Divert NS staff has approved an adjustment request. Okay. So I've now done a refresh of this and we're changing into a slightly different scenario here. In this particular scenario, I'm still the same producer. You'll see the supply reports have been removed. We've just reset this. And that we now have said under producer-led reporting, supply reporting, no, this will be completed by the pro. And I have an active pro relationship under my pro delegated reporting tab with a delegation of yes for supply reporting. So we know that a supply report will be generated for my pro to complete on my behalf. So you'll see here that the pro's reports is listed below. And at this point, the pro has not started that report here. There's no actions for me to take on this particular report. Nothing has been started yet. It's not in progress. It's definitely not submitted yet. So that's why there's nothing else for me to do at this point. So what I'll do is I'll quickly complete this report as a pro, and then I'll show what this looks like when we refresh the page. So now that my pro has started taking some steps on this pro report, of course I can't see this on this screen right now, but let's say that circular materials or the pro has gone away and has completed a section of this report on my behalf. I'll see that's represented when I refresh my page. And you'll see now that the status has progressed to in progress. So it is in progress of being completed. And then once the pro has completed all of the sections for the report and they have submitted it, if I refresh my page, say I come back the next day or so, you can see now that my pro's reports has updated to a status of submitted. So the pro has successfully submitted that report on my behalf. So here you can see that now we have some options to be able to view the details of the report. So I can press view here, and very similar to what it looked like when I was looking at a report that had been assigned to me for completion, I can flick through and I can see the answers as to everything that was submitted, all the supply data here. So I can see here no values were entered for supply deductions, but I can see a brand list and an attestation was completed, and I can see the name of the user who'd actually completed that report from the pro and the timestamp as well. Now let's say there was something missing from here. For example, the supply deduction data was missing, or there was an error or something that needed to be changed here, and I wish to request the pro complete an adjustment. I can initiate that process very similar to what I would have done for my own supply reports by pressing the request adjustment button here. And when I am about to request the adjustment, I'm prompted to enter in comments. So here I might say, please complete the deduction data section 2, or for whatever guidance that I want to provide for the pro. And I'll press save here. This is now going to initiate that adjustment process for the pro. And if I refresh this page, oh, it's doing it for me. Great. Just took a little second there. But you can see that the original report has updated to a status of rejected. That's because myself, as the producer, has rejected the pro's submission. I would like them to complete an adjustment. You can see that one is now sitting at rejected. The adjustment report has been automatically created with a version 1. You can see the status is not started again. The pro has obviously not yet taken any steps to do that. And you can see under the adjustment type, it's a producer initiated. That's because myself as a producer has initiated that supply report adjustment process. Of course, should Divert NS have initiated an adjustment request, you would see that that one has been a compliance initiated adjustment type there. So for here, if I click on view, and this is exactly what the pro is going to see as well, they'll see that that particular report was rejected, and they'll see that rejection reason has been populated as such as well. So now it's for the pro to go through and complete that supply report adjustment request. That will then get sent over to Divert NS to review, and they can approve or reject it. So I'll just quickly recreate those steps. Okay, so now that the pro has completed that, if I refresh this page once more, you'll see that as it was for myself as a producer, when that adjustment request has been submitted, it goes to a status of under review for Divert NS to make that decision to approve or reject. So next, I'll just represent Divert NS, and I'll go ahead and approve this particular request. Perhaps I should say before that's actually approved is that as a status of under review, I can still view the read-only version of this particular one, and I can see how it's been revised. So as we said, they were missing some supply deduction data. I can see that that has been revised here, and I can see that the difference has been highlighted as such. So, and you can see how that's impacted our net supply data table as well. Okay, so all of that still exists. The ability for me to view that adjustment request while it's sitting at under review, I can still go ahead and do. Okay, so I'm just refreshing the page once more. Now that that particular adjustment request has been approved by Divert NS, you can see the status of the adjustment request here. It's been updated to that status of approved. And now, because this is the latest in our sequence, I can once more request an adjustment on this particular adjustment because that decision has been made to approve it. And then that would continue that hierarchy or that chain of adjustment requests. Similarly, I can still press the view button to go in and view the read-only version of that particular page. So we'll go here, I can see that this was all approved. And that concludes the demonstration portion of this. where I demonstrated a pro completing a supply report on behalf of a producer. The producer went in and requested an adjustment to a report that was completed by the pro. That adjustment was then completed by the pro and approved by Divert NS.